What's up, everybody? I don't know who's going to be on here first. It's my first live chat, so I'm going to figure this one out. So just watch until people log on is the plan. Never actually even watched a live stream before, let alone done one myself. Not really sure how that works. Hey guys, Cody, Chase, thanks for logging on. Where are you guys from? We're here in Ontario, Canada. I think most people pretty much know that already anyway, but it's kind of fun watching AJ's live streams and seeing where all the different viewers of dirt tracks are from. Right on, Pennsylvania and Texas. Northern Taco, Nova Scotia. Right on, buddy. Kentucky, all over the place. Mr. JK71, you're back. I'm new. I haven't done this yet, so hopefully I don't disappoint, buddy. Bob Cajun, right on, Bryce. Just down the road, buddy. We've got somebody from Dubai, Minnesota. Man, this is really cool. Mr. JK71, you're from New Hampshire. Right on. I'm assuming you've logged into our live streams before, so maybe you can help me work through this for my first time. 1 hour south of you, Brandon T. Right on. Good old Ontario, Canada. Michigan, another one from Dubai. Awesome. So today I wanted to open up the floor, I guess, if you will, to talk about the Wildcat XX. I have a Havoc behind me. I don't have a Wildcat XX, so they're just not available yet to the press in Canada. But I knew it was a new model that everybody really wanted to talk about, so I thought I'd throw it out there and answer some questions. I just spent last week in Moab, Utah, riding XXs, and it was a great time. I put them through their paces in almost every possible scenario. So I think that I can answer some pretty good questions for anybody who's looking to talk about that. However, I'm completely open to talking about whatever you guys want, answering questions and filling you in on how things work. So, Mr. JK71, another one. Well, thanks, buddy. You never missed a stream. All right, let's keep that record going, okay? Maximum Overload 2002. You should come down to Cochrane, Ontario. That would be up to Cochrane, Ontario, actually, and I have been there many, many times. It's a great place to ride snowmobiles for sure. Brandon T. AJ gives you all t-shirts. I bet he does. He's a very generous guy. T-shirts, virtual t-shirts for everybody. Elizabeth City, right on. What ATVs and side-by-sides do you own? I don't actually own any ATVs and side-by-sides. One of the major benefits of this job is that I don't have to. The vehicles we get and that we test, we get them to test from the manufacturers themselves and then use them for a specific set of time. Some manufacturers are shorter than others, and then we give them back. So we try our best to abuse them as much as possible while we have them before we give them back, so we can give you guys the best possible opinion that we can come up with. What are some good tires for an ATV from Josh? We've always run a lot of ITP tires, and they've always worked really good for us. Big horns are kind of a standard. Anybody who runs them seems to like them. AJ is the better guy to ask those types of questions to because he does all of our tech stuff, as you guys know. He understands all of that. I just know that I jump in it, start it, drive the crap out of it, and then talk about it. That's sort of that's my gig. But yeah, AJ could probably help you out a little better on that one next time. Maximum Overload 2002. I don't have Snapchat. I'm not super up on social media, maybe as much as I should be. I do have Instagram though. If you guys want to look me up, you can probably find me on there. Textron Stampede odor from Michigan. Right on. Stampede's an impressive vehicle there, Andrew. I'm super impressed with it. Testing it now that Textron's taken over that brand, and I was surprised beyond what I expected to be. Matthew, what do I think of West Virginia? I love West Virginia. I love it, love it, love it. Been there, it's got to be pushing 20 times now. One of the few places in the world that I would actually go to on my own dime and pay to go there with my family and ride. I would have no problem with that. But I've always said West Virginia is the closest you can get to Ontario snowmobile trails with your ATV or side by side. So it's like snowmobiling and it's awesome. And I love snowmobiling. So there you go. Cody B, what's my favorite brand of ATV? I do not have one. A lot of people think otherwise. We get a lot of talk about how we're brand loyal. I am absolutely not brand loyal. I don't care what brand it is. I just want to ride the best ATV or side by side. Don't care who makes it. Um, I hope they keep pushing each other, and I hope my current favorite vehicle changes every year. That would be fantastic. Libby Holt, thoughts on the Rubicon 500? Oh man, that's opening a can of worms, isn't it? Every time we talk about Honda, we get so much hate mail. But I think the Rubicon 500 is a great vehicle. I really do, especially the new one. Um, I think that Honda has got a real niche market with their gear-on-gear transmission and their obviously deserved reputation for reliability. And if I was buying a vehicle to last forever, I would buy a Honda. I can say that with all confidence. And the newer ones, independent suspension, those ones they ride really good. They handle better. Yeah. So if it was me buying a vehicle that I wanted to keep for 20 years or whatever, I would buy a Honda. If I was to buy an ATV, what would I buy? Well, that's one of those questions. Everybody asks us, what's the best ATV? What's the best side by side? It's a subjective question. You can't answer it outright because it's what you want to do. So, right now, if I was to buy a vehicle, the needs that I have is something to use around my property, take my kids down the road to the lake, things like that. I would buy something like a Ranger or um, uh, a Commander or something, a General, something like that that I can put family in and haul some stuff around the yard and whatever. The Havoc could be a really cool choice. I'd want a bench seat, so I don't know, and I wouldn't want to spend a lot of money, so probably a mid-size Ranger would be what I'd be after. I can plow snow with it, like a Ranger 570. That would be something I'd look at, but if the time came for me personally, it would be a lot about price. Any truth or knowledge of the Honda Talon? It's as much of a rumor for us as it is for you guys. We really think that the photos and the information out there suggest that it is at least a concept vehicle, though I have no proof of that whatsoever. It seems like it's very possible that that's a concept vehicle. If not, it's a really good build by somebody who knows what they're doing. Could Honda do it? Yeah, Honda could do it. We all know that Honda could do it, just like we knew Yamaha could do it, and we got a YXE. Will Honda do it? Who knows? Who knows? Any rumors about Textron making a Wildcat XX turbo stock for next year's model? There are strong rumors about a turbo Wildcat XX. I would say that it's a given that they're going to do it. I'm not saying that because I have any inside information. It just is something they're going to do. Our Textron is 100% on the gas. They want to be leaders in the side by side industry. They are working really hard behind the scenes. You guys don't get to see a lot of that, but they are driven to produce great products, and you're going to continue to see great products from them from now on. And I think one of those products is going to be a turbo Wildcat XX. When they build it, it's going to be impressive, man. The regular Wildcat XX is a super impressive vehicle. I was blown away by it this past week, and a turbo would be even that much better. Do you know if Polaris is releasing more this year from Northern Rider? Polaris is always releasing stuff. They are on like a 6-month release schedule, something new every 6 months kind of thing. So yeah, you're going to see new stuff from Polaris. What it'll be, I don't know. Bold new graphics, whole new vehicle. I have no idea. I'd personally love to see a turbo RS1 with the 144 horsepower version of the turbo, like the original XP 1000 turbo was only 144 horsepower. That would be perfect in the RS1. I'd like to see that, but can't know until they release it. And usually after they release it, we have to wait a little while to tell you guys. So if I had a choice between a Textron XX, Polaris Razor, or a Can-Am side-by-side, which would you choose? Again, that's a subjective question. What would I be doing with it? If it was for general all-purpose trail, dune, whatever riding, I got to be perfectly honest. After spending this past week in Moab riding the XX, I was beyond pleasantly surprised about that vehicle, and I might just buy an XX. It was unbelievably good, and I liked every minute in it. Finish quality isn't quite up to par with a Polaris, and certainly not a Can-Am, but the way the vehicle works is awesome. Especially the suspension and the handling is just incredible. So I'd be leaning that direction for sure, especially if the price was right. Um, Again, the staple of a Razor, you can't go wrong with a Razor. Buying a Razor XP, 1000 naturally aspirated, that's a given. It's a great vehicle. But the XX, I think, is going to give it a serious run for its money. Let's see here. Will you be reviewing the 2019 Wider Stance Outlander anytime soon? I have already reviewed it. It just hasn't aired yet. So we had a Outlander XTP 1000R, and I rode the wheels off that thing, and we have a test ride coming up really soon. So stay tuned and check it out. I can give you a little inside information. It's impressive. The changes for the wider Outlander, it changes the vehicle in a dramatic way. And if I was going to be buying an Outlander, I would definitely be buying the newest model for sure. I would be saving up my extra pennies and buying the new one because it's that much different. Sea Dog Outdoors, do you think Polaris will put more power in the general? Um, it would be a good move, wouldn't it? I mean, Polaris has never been afraid to push things a little further, especially if their competition pushes things further. You've got the Havoc now that I think competes with the General, putting out 100 horsepower. So that 100 horsepower threshold has been met by almost everybody. The next step would be to go to 110, or again, that first version of the turbo with 144. That seems to be a really good middle ground for a turbo that's not too much, but more than naturally aspirated. That would be interesting to me. So I'd like to see it. I think the General can definitely handle it, and I think buyers would definitely love it. Can I start up the Havoc? Not right now. This is a sealed garage, and it'd be loud, but it sounds great, man. The Havoc is one of the best sounding side by sides I think I've ever heard run. So if you get a chance to listen to it, put your ear right down by the exhaust and rev it up. Is the Stampede X going to get a more thorough review from you guys this year? I don't think so. We focused on the Havoc. We did the Stampede last year. Um, the Havoc is sort of their newest flagship sport utility model. But again, the Stampede is a Havoc. It's just a different Havoc. So anything related to ergonomics or the usable functions of the vehicle itself, that's all the same. Motor and suspension wise, obviously the Havoc is different. So that would be specific to that vehicle. What's a good UTV for bigger riders for legroom and such? Bruce Lupine. Well, I mean, Can-Am and Polaris both make roomy ATVs. They really do. Um, I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I haven't been on an Arctic Cat ATV in quite some time. It's been difficult, or I guess Textron off road. I got to be careful about that. I haven't been on one in a while. We have some coming, so I could comment then. But right now, I find a Grizzly to be a little bit cramped. Hondas feel small to me. Um, the King Quad felt like a Grizzly, basically felt a lot like a Grizzly. So to me, the answer for a bigger rider would be a Can-Am or a Polaris, and you really can't go wrong with either. So that's some options for you there. How does the suspension on the XX compare to the Razor? Okay, so that's a great question, and that's something I was thinking a lot about last week. The XX suspension feels bottomless. It feels unbelievably plush. It's almost unbelievable is a really good term. It's almost not real when you're riding it. I mean, we were riding in Moab, Utah, on the rocks, riding these really fast trails through the desert with huge, ditches and jumps and whatever you could find, like rocks everywhere. It's crazy rocky. And when you're coming like over the top of a lofty kind of drop, and then it's up on the other side instead of down the way you thought, it doesn't bottom. It just soaks it right up. There were so many times, countless times, where I was holding onto that steering wheel and I was bracing for that, spine tingler, and it never came. The suspension just continued to soak it up. The one thing I will say that's really weird though is when you go over a jump, the wheels drop out so far that a jump on a normal side by side where you'd be in the air, the wheels actually stayed on the ground with the XX. It was very bizarre. So to me, suspension on XX or Razor, I'm picking XX. It's I would say it's one of the best suspended side by sides I've ever driven, if not the best. Save for a Polaris like Turbo S that I haven't had a chance to drive yet, so it's pretty impressive. Do I think from G Monholland, do I think Can-Am or Polaris will have a 200 horse stock coming out in the next couple of years? I think the industry is moving that direction. I think that if there's a horsepower war raging and it's taken a bit of a it's mellowed out a bit, I guess, but now you've got Arctic Cat and I fully intend to see or expect to see a turbo Wildcat. Would it make sense for Textron Off Road to produce a turbo Wildcat that wasn't a class leader? I don't think so, and I don't think they would do that. So if they do, I'm expecting to see more than 170 some odd horsepower out of them. And then I think the threshold is that 200 mark, but who knows? Polaris staying at 168 for as long as they have was surprising to me, though I have been told by multiple people that engine can't do more. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But 200, I think, would be pretty awesome, and I sincerely hope somebody does it. Chase Wagner, when did I get into ATVing? When I was 2 years old, my dad bought me a Suzuki JR50 three-wheeler. And by the time I was 2.5, I was riding it without the tether on the back and him running behind me. So since I was, well, I hate to say it, but probably just out of diapers, I was riding ATVs and still love it to this day. Brandon T, new vehicles only tell so much of the story. Ever think about picking up a 2 or 3-year-old machine and discussing design flaws and fixes? Actually, you know what? It's funny because AJ did a test ride on an old Arctic Cat ATV this year. I'm not sure if it's aired yet. And well, it has aired because it got really good reviews. So yeah, check out our YouTube channel. People love it. People are always asking for that. From our perspective, it can be difficult because we want to show people the newest. That's what we've always done. And the manufacturers, all of whom support our show, want us to show their newest products. On the other hand, we want to help you guys understand what's out there and what's good and what's not just about new. So it's something we're talking a lot about because of the way AJ's test ride was received, and we will continue to talk more about. I think you're going to see more of that on the show, if not maybe just once a year. Let's see, do you have a preference for a full or half size windshield on a side by side? My preference is half size. The airflow you get from a half size windshield is what you need. It also stops the swirling of the wind coming in behind the windshield unless you've got a rear deflector. So if you're going to buy a full windshield, you got to buy the rear as well. But I just find side by sides to be quite warm inside, and the half size windshield gives you that airflow as well. When your windshield gets muddy, you can still see over top of it. But that's again completely personal preference. Everybody's different in that respect and has different needs. So whatever works for you. Bruce Lapine. Okay, bigger side by side. I get it now. So what's a good side by side for bigger riders? What have I just driven that impressed me? The Wildcat XX actually has got a ton of room in it. I had to move the seat forward. I've never had to do that before on a side by side. Actually move the seat up so I could be closer to the wheel and the pedals. So that's a really good choice. Just trying to think about what I mean, the Havoc has got a lot of leg room. It just doesn't have a lot of knee room into the dash, so that's not super positive. Razor XPs, the right side of your foot has lots of room. The left side doesn't have much at all. Can-Ams have decent leg room. X3s, they're pretty good. I remember last season testing the X3, and I was quite pleased with how much space there was for my legs, so that's a good thing. But if the best way to find out is to go sit in them. If you can go to a showroom and just sit in a bunch of different vehicles, then you'll know for sure, because what's bigger to you might not be bigger to me. You know what I mean? What do I think about Can-Am's Outlander 1006 by 6 from Sea Dog Outdoors? I think it's awesome. I tested the first one when it first was released. Before it was released, we went and tested. It was an 850 back then. It's such a cool vehicle. I mean, it's probably impractical for a lot of people, but if you can use that extra set of wheels, or that's something that you think is going to benefit you, or help you do more work or have more fun, go for it. I mean, AJ proved you can jump them, and we had the test ride when he did that. He was jumping it over our racetrack. So I don't see any downsides to it other than the length. So I think they're pretty amazing. Jake Fairbanks, 4-seat XX rumors. Yeah, strong rumors. I would say, again, just like the Turbo, it's less of a rumor and more of an almost positive going to happen. Textron Off-Road is in tune with the market right now. They know what's selling. They're in tune with their competition. They see what's working. They see what the competition is doing, and they want to be there. So you're going to see, again, no official statement, but you're going to see a 4-seat Wildcat and a turbo Wildcat at some point. If it's not next year, it might be the year after. Brandon Ghana, I'm not exactly sure how to say your last name, sorry. If a 200 horsepower stock machine does make mass production, what percentage of drivers could actually utilize a machine with that much stock horsepower? None. You can't utilize the horsepower that your average stock, like that an X3 turbo or a Razor XP has got right now. I mean, unless you're in the dunes, which yes, you can utilize it in the dunes. Any other location, you cannot make full use of the power. These things are so incredibly fast, and they get up to their top speeds so incredibly fast. It can actually overwhelm you if you're not ready for it. I think that the average person who's a trail rider doesn't need more than 100 horsepower. That, in fact, that's even more than you could ever use. Need doesn't even matter. Nobody cares about need. I don't care about need. It's all about want. It's all about what you got to have, and that's awesome. So if you got to have 173 or 168 horsepower, go buy it and have fun with it. But just realize you've purchased a vehicle that's crazy overkill for you. I respect that though, so go for it. G. Monholland, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I hope we get good snow this year too, and we really enjoy making this show for you guys, and we hope you guys are appreciative of it and like it and get something out of it. Certainly hope you learn something out of it. What's going to be the next big thing from Can-Am, Tracy? Can-Am blows you away sometimes, the stuff they come up with. I really don't know. I know that they're going to try and continue to push the products they have to the next level because their stuff is so good. It's so hard to tell with them. Their stuff is so good. What would they do differently? What could they do better? The answer is pretty much nothing. I don't know. I mean, they definitely need a new commander. That's the one thing that I would say has got to be the next big thing from Can-Am is a new commander to compete with the General and the Havoc and those types of vehicles, those true sport utility vehicles. They've got to build that. And I think you're going to see that. The trail and the sport, the 60 and the 50-inch Mavericks, that's not the answer. What we need is a true sport utility from them that's got 100 plus horsepower and big travel. That's, I think, what you're going to see next from them. Quinn Anderson, Havoc or General? Tough call, man. For me right now, it'd be the General. The Havoc's awesome. Don't get me wrong. It's an amazing vehicle and has a ton of great features. Performs well, rides well. The cockpit just isn't up to my requirements in terms of comfort. I just don't find it as comfortable as the General. The General just feels like you're in a Razor, but you've got all the capabilities of the box and the dumping cargo box and that kind of stuff. So for me right now, it would be a General. I really hope Textron Off-Road continues to develop the Havoc X because they've got a great platform here. There's just a few tweaks they need to make, and then it would be an even tougher call. But for right now, I go General. Jeremy Hardy, buy an old Honda 300. You know what? That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Buy an old Honda 300 and just do a test on it. And that's something we might very well do. We've been searching, and AJ's been on the lookout for really good older ATVs with low miles that we can retest, if you will. So you might see that one. I don't know. Depends on what comes up. Would you recommend Polaris Lock and Ride on a Ranger? Kind of an interesting question. I think it's a great system. Yeah, definitely. If the implements that they've got are something you need, it's a great system, and I see no downsides to it whatsoever. So yeah, Lock and Ride on a Ranger would be anything they've got. Use it. It works great. Brandon T, you mentioned earlier this is a job. Are you hiring? Number one question we get asked. Okay, number one question: are you hiring? That is true. Number two question: what's the best side-by-side snowmobile, ATV, whatever? Unfortunately, no. Sorry, we are not hiring. Who knows? In the future. Bruce Lapine, you're very welcome, man. Thanks for watching the show, and we love making it. We love hearing from our viewers for sure. This is an awesome platform. I love this idea, and I love being able to converse back and forth with you guys in real time. So that's awesome. Claudio, hello, Dirt Tracks from Romania. There's a new one. Love your show. Awesome, man. It's super cool to hear that in Romania you're watching dirt tracks. Love to hear a little bit about what it's like to ride there. So, um, actually, I'd love to go ride there. That'd be super cool too. Brandon, you're more than welcome, buddy. Tracy, you as well. More than welcome. You guys should do some dirt bike videos from Chase Wagner. We get asked that a lot. You know, dirt tracks in the dirt. Anything can make tracks in the dirt, including dirt bikes. The problem with the dirt bike market right now is, in reality, it's just not a very big market. When you're in it, when you're racing motocross, when you're big into enduro, it seems like there's a lot of it going on, and there's a lot of that industry is really big. But in reality, when you look at overall market share, sales, all those types of things, it's really not that big. Manufacturers aren't pushing it. They're not super interested in having people like us test dirt bikes. Um, I personally ride a dirt bike. I got a Beta 300 and I love it. But for dirt tracks, it just doesn't make financial sense right now. So in the future, if things pick up, keep buying dirt bikes. You know, keep pushing that. So if it picks up, we may very well in the future, but I don't know. Douglas, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Love to hear people watching our videos and enjoying them. So we'll keep making them for you, I promise. And we're gonna try and keep making them better and better and better. Crazy Flyboy 30 Grizzly 1000. Wouldn't that be cool? I think right now though, what would be just get it started with the 850. Put the 850 in the Grizzly from just get it done. It needs to happen. The Grizzly can handle it. We need to have a little more power in that vehicle. So let's put the 850 in there first and see how it goes. And if they want to push to a 1000, awesome. I don't think you'll see a triple in an ATV. That wouldn't be a good choice. So the triple 1000 from the YXE. Personally, I don't think they should put that in an ATV. It's too big. It's too heavy. It's too wide. Um, but a 1000 twin would be sweet, wouldn't it? We all know that that works. Jeremy Hardy, forget about reviewing the new Hondas till they make something new. Oh, you're gonna be in trouble with the rest of the viewers for that one, buddy. Um, you know, Hondas are what they are, and they're a force in the marketplace. They've been number one for so many years, not anymore, but um, you can't fault the Honda for being what it is, and that's why when we test Hondas, we always say that in their own context, they're a really good ATV, and they are, and they're getting better. I mean, the new 500 had improved suspension, improved handling. It was a good vehicle. Um, they definitely need to make something new though. You need a bigger bore. The Rincon, it needs to go away, and something else needs to come in its place. But we're going to keep testing them as much as they'll give them to us. They're hard to get here, but yeah. Amen Stratham. Strathman? I don't know how I'm saying it. Probably saying your name wrong. Sorry. But Sport Quad reviews. Again, that's just like the dirt bike scenario. The Sport Quad industry took an absolute dive right around 2008 when the industry kind of took a hurt and all of our economies suffered. Sport quads just stopped selling. As it is now, Yamaha? I think no, Yamaha doesn't sell them. Who sells one even right now? Honda? Did they sell one? I don't even know. They're not pushing them. We can't get them to test. They don't want us to test them. They don't want to give them out as press units. So you're probably not going to see a lot more of that. I think it'd be fun to test an older one, and think it'd be super cool for AJ to do a build on an older one. And I think he wants to do that, so you might see that. But in terms of new stuff, there almost aren't any sport quads to review, so probably not going to see a lot of that. Douglas Ward, we seem like adventure bike guys. I have a Ducati Monster. Love the adventure bike idea, but it's not for me. I can't do it. Maybe when I get a little bit older, it'll be something I want to do, but probably not going to do a lot of adventure bikes. Though I guess it would kind of fit in pretty well with the show. Again, same problem. We're not motorcycle guys. I'm not, I don't have a huge history with motorcycles. My opinions really wouldn't be that valuable to you guys about motorcycles because I'm not in the industry. I haven't been in it forever. And what's most important to me is that the opinions that I give you guys are based on solid experience, solid use, solid understanding of an industry, of a vehicle, all those things. I don't give my opinion unless I'm 100% confident in it. And I'm not 100% confident in my opinions on motorcycles. So that's probably not going to happen. Matt Bradley, would you consider power steering to be a must have option? Absolutely. There's no reason not to have it today. The benefits, even on a vehicle that handles good without it, the benefits of having power steering is just, I mean, why would you not want it? Slight weight penalty, but these days ATVs are all heavy anyway, so who cares? And easier steering, easier on your body, less feedback from the wheels. Everything about power steering is better. I don't want an ATV without it, or a side by side. I don't want anything that doesn't have it these days. Everything should. Andrew Cox, Havoc or Wolverine? That's a good question. We just had a Wolverine X2 here, the limited edition model. At this point, I'll just be completely straight with you guys. At this point, I'm buying a Havoc if that's my choice. There's a lot of things that are really good about the Wolverine, but it's just got some things they need to work on, some suspension calibration issues. The motor, they uncorked the motor, Yamaha. Just take off the limiter because it doesn't need to be there, and I don't understand why it is. It's disappointing that it has it. This guy doesn't. It does over 70 miles an hour. So for me, if I'm going to buy one of the two, it'd be a Havoc for sure. Though I will say the Wolverine is a huge step in the right direction. Honda Talon, we talked about that earlier. It's a great concept. It looks like it might be an official concept. No official word on whether it's real or not or whether it's coming. It seems pretty extreme for Honda. They're pretty conservative, but I'd love to see it as much as everybody else would, and I hope it's real. Do you have a favorite dirt, mud, or dust repellent product that can be applied prior to a dirty ride that will help the cleanup? Princess Auto pressure washer after the ride is the best thing. They say that you can spray like cooking oil or whatever, Pam or whatever, on your plastics and stuff, and helps the mud not stick. I mean, you're gonna have to wash that bike anyway, so you might as well just wash it. We use a lot of Spray 9. I use Castrol Super Clean where it's not going to damage stuff, and you just heavily soak your vehicle with that, spray it down with a pressure washer, and you're as clean as you're going to get. So ATV3, I don't know of anything specifically that I would use, but if you ever come up with something great, let us know. Stephen Bronsman, are you based in Canada? Yes, we are. Based in Ontario, Canada. Brandon T knows where we are. Josh Abbott, what do you guys think about the Argo ATV? The Argo ATV is an interesting one. It's a good ATV for the price. It is. They're no Can-Am, they're no Polaris or Yamaha. They're a new entry into the market. But I gotta say, of all the new entries into the market, the Argo ATV I think is the best one so far. Their 1000 in particular rides really good. The motor is really strong. It's very impressive. If I was going to be buying one, I would buy the 1002 up for sure. But I'm quite impressed with them. Longevity wise, it's impossible to say until more time passes. So we'll just have to see. Let's see here. Chase Wagner, Scrambler 850 versus Ace 900. There's an interesting one. Those vehicles don't compete with each other, in my opinion. I mean, I guess they do in a way because they're both narrow. They're both the size of an ATV, so to speak. Do you want to sit down or do you want to sit on? That's the answer. I mean, a Scrambler is going to be a lot more high performance, and you're going to get crazy on it, get sideways, but you're on an ATV. An Ace 900, especially the XC, is a wild vehicle, and you can get sideways in it too, but you're sitting down and you got a cage. So it's almost impossible to compare them, but whichever one you like best, go for it. Doyle Sinnott, Odes, the Odes vehicles, Odies. Oh, I don't know how you say that. I've never even heard of them. Sorry, yeah, I've never heard of those. If I haven't heard of them, chances are they're not huge here in North America. And if we haven't heard of them, it probably means they're not spending any money. They're not looking to advertise. That's a lot of those smaller companies. They're not pushing their vehicles. And if they're an import, they're really not pushing their vehicles. So yeah, sorry about that. Can't answer any of those questions. You should make some snowmobile videos. Check out Trax TV because we do. That's what we do all winter long. That's from Swamp Duck. That's the second half of our business: dirt tracks and snow tracks. Oh, this is a good one. Sam Birchenough. When are we going to see larger engine capacity sports side by sides and hopefully with paddle shifters? Okay, that's a really good question, and that's one that an answer a lot of people don't understand. To be considered a side-by-side ATV, you cannot be more than 1,000 cc's. It's a rule. It's a law in almost every jurisdiction. Once you go beyond 1,000 cc's, you become technically a buggy, and the rules are completely different for a buggy. So that's why you don't see more than 1,000 cc's. That's why they push so hard to get as much out of 1,000 cc's as possible. And I mean, you don't need more than 1,000 cc's to make 200 horsepower. So I don't think they need to go any bigger. They just crank up that turbo maybe a little bit. You know what I mean? Question for you. I want an Ace, but I'm a 2-foot driver. How, in your opinion, would easily to modify for a left foot brake? That's an interesting question. I mean, you could probably just extend the brake lever. If you check out an RS1, they have a really unique brake lever in the RS1 that works for both feet. You can use your right foot. It has a center portion, and then a little lower on the left, it has just an extension on the brake lever. It's still the same arm and everything, and it works awesome. So, if you're interested in how that works or some ideas, that's a perfect one. Or go buy an RS1 because it's better than the Ace in every way, and it has exactly what you're looking for. Just a thought. Brandon T. Who knows best, AJ or I? You know what? AJ and I are completely like we honestly work really good together because he has a lot of technical knowledge that I just don't have. He works on stuff. I get frustrated and throw wrenches. He's got the patience to do that. I do spend a little bit more time actually riding and that kind of stuff. He really likes working on stuff. He also obviously rides like crazy. He's insane on a side by side or an ATV and or snowmobile. But yeah, he enjoys one side of it a little more, and I enjoy doing test rides a lot more than I enjoy working on stuff. I like riding stuff more than I like fixing it. So, um, I hate to say it, but sometimes I break it, he fixes it. It's a great brother, isn't it? You gotta love a brother that fixes your broken stuff. Thoughts on electric side by sides from Nicola. Um, hey, why not, right? Like, let's push technology as far as we can push it. Let's do as much as we can do. I have no problem with building electric vehicles. The reality of an electric vehicle is, I think, is a lot different than the concept. I mean, yes, they're super fast. They make crazy horsepower. You can, I guess, make them light enough to be comparable to a gas powered. But the reality is, you're never going to go as far. You just can't have the range with an electric side by side today as what they need to be. Even a Tesla, like where I live, where a lot of us live up in the north or away from cities, what good's a Tesla car? I can't drive a Tesla car to the places I need to go and get home on one charge. So what good is that? Um, I think that the technology is awesome. I'm big into RC cars as well, and follow battery and brushless and all this kind of technology. So I understand a lot of it. I think it's super cool. But until we get batteries that can give you 400-mile range, I just see no purpose in buying a vehicle like that if you have the desire to ride it a long time. If you just want to go for short stints, like I really like um, the Prowler EV from Textron Off Road. I really like the Ranger EV as a super cool vehicle, and they have their place. But if it's me, I'm buying a gas. Will you ever do a review on a three wheeler from That's Random? Probably not. Um, I mean, it'd be fun to do like a 250R or something like that, but I just don't see the purpose in it. I don't know that it's even valid these days. They're kind of just a cool vehicle some people pull out and ride sometimes, so I really doubt it. If we ever get our hands on a super tricked out three wheeler, we might do a little thing on it someday, but we're not looking for one. 1000 V-Strom motor and a Suzuki King Quad. Wouldn't that be interesting? Sure, let's do it. Let's go for it. Why not? Suzuki's got a whole long list of motors that would work great in an ATV or a side by side. For some reason, we're just not seeing that from them. The new King Quad is somewhat new, but not a lot new. I'd really love to see Suzuki step it up and just start building vehicles again. And apparently, they've got their R&D budget ramped up a little bit, so it's very possible we're going to see a lot more from them. Let's see. Do you know any places you can race snowmobiles in Canada or Minnesota? Tons of places. I mean, what kind of racing do you want to do? In Minnesota and Michigan, they've got lots of cross country races, brutal, grueling cross country races. That's a definite possibility. And then snowcross is huge in Canada and the northern U.S. So you can race snowcross pretty much anywhere you want to go these days. My brother and I did for 10 years, and yeah, so you can race snowmobiles anywhere you want. You just got to be ready to pay for it because racing snowmobiles is so much more expensive than racing dirt bikes. Dean Worgs, I don't know. Sorry. Your thoughts on the Wildcat XX? I've talked about this a little already. I love it. I absolutely love it. I was blown away by it, way more than I thought I would be. In particular, the suspension and the handling. The thing rides like you're literally on a pillow of air. It's unbelievable how good it rides. QS3s work great. Handling is just so easy and spot on. I mean, you can power slide that thing at 70 miles an hour, no problem all day long. Initiating a slide is great. Low speed rock crawling stuff we were doing in Moab was amazing. Um, it's a great vehicle. It needs a turbo if you're going to want more power. Naturally aspirated, it's impressive. There's nothing wrong with it naturally aspirated compared to a Razor XP non-turbo. But certainly, if you're going to be in the sand in particular, you're going to want a turbo, and I think probably you're going to see one here pretty soon. Good looking honky. Hey, Peter. How's it going? Just saying hi from Gooderham. Hey, Shane. Gooderham, huh? Awesome. Just up the road. What's the difference between a Can-Am Maverick Trail 1000 and a 1000R? The Maverick Trail 1000 is just a little bit toned down. The R has always been their performance version that puts out more horsepower. That's really it. I mean, what what is the specific difference? I'm not really sure. It could potentially just be an ECU. A lot of times that's all it is, and sometimes just swapping the ECU will get you the more power or the more horsepower that you're looking for. But I can't comment on that exactly. Will anyone else come out with an integrated trail map or GPS like the Ride Command? Yamaha has it. I can't remember what it's called right now off the top of my head, but they've got it's like it's even better. I mean, it's a full tablet. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got everything, and it's got all the maps. It's got a full what do you call it? Like a heads up, not heads up display, but like it's got all the parameters, the motor, everything shows up on the screen. It's really cool. It's only available in the US, but they've got that as well. And I think probably it's not going to be long before you'll see Can-Am with the GPS integrated into their dash. The new Tesla Roadster has about 400 kilometers range, not going to lie. I don't doubt that at all when it's warm, but as soon as it becomes cold weather, that range is going to drop. And 400 kilometers, that's good. That'll get me like, to the city and back once, or maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get back. But it's still not enough when you live in the north, and especially when it gets cold. Battery technology has not progressed to the point where cold weather has as little effect as it should. So in the South, California, southern US, electric vehicles make a whole lot more sense. But up here in the north, where it gets cold for 6, 7 months of the year, if we're lucky, um, just not there yet. But who knows? The future is bright. Brandon T. Water Trax Television. No thanks. We have CDs and jet skis, but there is definitely no market there. Take the mud building to the sand dunes. I can't actually think of anything I'd rather do less than that. Such a specifically built vehicle, great for what it does, but absolutely horrible for anything else. Just, and that's the funny thing about those mud bikes. You spend so much money to make them terrible for anything but mud, but in the mud, they are mind blowing. And that's what that one was built for. Let's see here. What is Textron? Textron Off-Road. Textron is a large corporation that owns a whole bunch of smaller brands. EasyGo golf carts, not even smaller. Bell Jet Ranger helicopters. They have a company that builds fighter jets. Um, they make zero-turn lawnmowers. Just the list goes on and on. And obviously now they own what used to be Arctic Cat ATV. They own Arctic Cat snowmobiles and Textron Off-Road ATVs. So they're just a big company that owns a lot of little companies, some little, some big. Cessna Airplanes. They own Cessna. There's a lot of technology, a lot of big backing in that company, and that's why I think it's really really good for Arctic Cat to have that backing now, and you're going to see good stuff from them. Are you going to do more of a review on the Argo ATVs? Mark did one this year. We try and split things up as best we can, so we all get to test stuff. This year I wasn't around. I was on a trip when that one had to get tested, so Mark did it. But I'd like to. Next year maybe I'll get a chance. I'm going to their new model intro here next week, and be interesting to see what's coming. I know some big things are coming from Argo on the XTV side, so pay attention to that one. Is the heavier weight of the XX noticeable compared to the competition? Rough when jumping? No, it is the least rough vehicle when jumping that I have ever jumped in my life. We were launching it off the dunes, off fire roads at 65 miles an hour. It is so smooth. It really is. If you're going to go huge on it, the QS3s could stand to be valved up a little bit more. But for the average guy, even jumping pretty big at full stiff, those QS3s work good. It is a smooth side by side, and in my opinion, has the best suspension of any side by side out there right now. And with that, I have to put the caveat that I haven't driven the Razor Turbo S, so I can't speak to that one. It sounds pretty impressive too. But right now, if you're buying a naturally aspirated side by side, that one is, I mean, it's at the top of my list for sure. You must be north of the wall. No wonder your stream is in 240p. We are working on getting a better camera for this stream system, and we are also not in the best area for internet speeds. Our area just sucks. That's why it's 240. Is there an age limit for how big of a snowmobile you have to race? Yes. I don't know what they are right now. I haven't been involved in racing in a long time, but I believe you have to be 16 at least to race a full size 600, but it could be more. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it's a little less. But yeah, definitely. What's the story of how you guys started your business and how many employees do you currently have? Um, you know what? We've been doing Super Trax magazine was our first business, and we've been doing that for pushing 30 years now. So that's where it all began. Snow Trax started shortly after that with another gentleman. If anybody has ever watched Snow Trax in particular before, back in the old days, it was John Masenberg, great big cowboy dude. He was amazing. Um, then he started Dirt Trax TV, um, and he got sick, unfortunately, and he couldn't be on the show anymore. So they hired me to work along with Jeff at the time, and that's how I got started in the TV business. Unfortunately, when Jeff passed away, the company was left to his brother, and he really wanted to sell it. So he said to us, we were good friends. I worked there. He said, "Would your family be interested in buying it?" And running Snow Tracks, sort of in John's honor, the way he would want it to have been run. And we said, definitely. So that's how it all came down. It was a pretty incredible set of coincidences, and we're extremely blessed to be able to do what we do. Mr. Liveline Solutions. Textron should have kept the Arctic Cat name. It's hard to say. It means nothing. I don't disagree with you, and I don't think anybody disagrees with you, honestly. I know kind of why they did it. Their reasoning was because in the South or in other markets in particular overseas and stuff, Arctic Cat doesn't mean anything to people, and they're trying to expand their product lines overseas. The term Arctic doesn't equate to a side by side or an ATV that's designed to be run in warmer weather. And that was their reasoning for that. In North America, though, even in the southern part of North America, Arctic Cat meant something, and I think they probably could have kept it. But either way, it's going to take time. People will learn what Textron Off Road is. I'll start saying it when I'm referring to the vehicles instead of always screwing up and accidentally saying Arctic Cat. So it'll come through. It'll just take time. Jake Fairbanks. Love to see an episode on machine safety and trail etiquette. Lots of people driving side by sides that shouldn't be. 100% agree. Here's an interesting one. I did a story maybe 3 years ago, might be a little bit more than that, on the top 3 things that you can do to not basically not die on an ATV. And they were essentially wear your helmet, don't drink, and be of a proper age to ride the vehicle. Those were the 3 things that are going to seriously increase your chances of surviving an accident. I got so much hate mail for it. People were so upset that I said, wear a helmet, even though statistically speaking, you will survive a crash. It's like 70% more likely to survive a crash if you're wearing a helmet. It's insane. And people were mad at me. If you don't want to wear a helmet, don't wear a helmet. That's not for me to tell you not to. Do I think you should? Yes, absolutely. You should always wear a helmet when you ride. If you don't want to, America, you're free to do whatever you want. Canada, you're not. Got to wear a helmet. But you're free to not wear one. I think you're crazy, but go ahead and do what makes you happy. Just don't be surprised if when you crash your ATV, you crack your head open and possibly die. And I don't want that to happen to anybody. Drinking is the other big one. Period. Zero tolerance. There is absolutely no reason to be drinking and riding your side by side or ATV. I know that upsets a lot of people because that's a real cultural thing. Going out, going for a ride, having a drink. I personally don't drink, period, a drop ever at all while I'm riding, ever. And again, that just increases your chances of not having an accident. So I'm sorry that was a long explanation. I feel very passionately about that topic, and I appreciate you bringing it up. And I certainly hope more and more as time goes on, people will start to listen and start to wake up to being safe and surviving this great sport. Again, the last point I'm going to make there is when you crash and get hurt, or if you die, or whatever, if you crash because you've been drinking, or if you crash because you've let your kid ride your ATV who shouldn't be, it looks bad on all of us and it hurts the whole industry. So let's all just try and make this industry thrive as much as possible and be respectful of it. That's my last point. Would you buy a Prowler 550 2015 for 4K? I'm looking to get a UTV that's easy to drive. Warbros HD. That would be dependent on condition and mileage for sure. I mean, if it's super low mileage and excellent condition, 4K seems like a pretty good price to me. Prowler 550 is a good vehicle. It's not super powerful. They're not crazy, like they don't handle crazy good, but there's nothing wrong with them. They're relatively durable. They have great work capabilities, and for 4K, that's not a bad deal at all. So yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that, provided it's in good shape. If it's all beat up and got a million miles, then no, I wouldn't do that. Caleb Porter, come to Utah. I was there last week, man. I was riding just outside of of Moab, just out on some non-Moab trails with a local guy, and it was awesome. You guys have got some incredible riding areas there. You're so lucky. So definitely take advantage of them as much as possible. Wicked West Off Road. Any word on the turbo model for the XX? I've said this a couple times today. Officially, no. Unofficially, it's almost a given. So just be patient, stay tuned. Could you do a fan ride this year or sometime soon? I actually really like riding with fans. We do it a lot more on the ATV side when we go to a travel destination. We'll meet up with some people who watch the show. I really enjoy that. Snow side, it's a little bit harder. Our timelines are shorter, so it's difficult to make those things work. But whenever we can, we do. Um, so yeah, I mean, just stay tuned. A lot of the times you see us riding with people you don't recognize on the show. Those are viewers that we've met up with or bumped into or something, and it works. There you go. See, Chad Finley, you're absolutely right. Got hit in the face by a tree branch. I'd rather wear a helmet too. Farming diaries. I've never done trail riding. We use our Ranger for utility purposes on our farm. Sadly, since it's a 2004, the shifting dogs went out and we're in the process of fixing it. Well, I mean, you had a good vehicle. If you did want to trail ride it, even a 2004 Ranger is a great vehicle to ride on the trail. So you're not going to be losing out there if you do get it fixed and want to go for a trail ride. You'll have a good one. Need to come back to New Hampshire sometime. Yeah, we do. I'd love to come back to New Hampshire. In fact, I like riding all over the East Coast. I really do. It's great riding out there. The trails are awesome, and in the U.S., the East Coast of the U.S., the trails are just so well developed. I really like it. How do I like Textron so far? I like Textron. The guys at Textron are good people. They're great to get along with. They're super fun. They're driven to build excellent vehicles. They listen. Um, they're interested to get feedback about the vehicles and make them better. That's awesome. And they really want to produce vehicles that the average ATV side by side rider is going to appreciate and make good use of. So Textron has been an excellent, addition to the Arctic Cat, or I guess I don't know how you say that. It's the PC way to say it, taking over Arctic Cat, buying Arctic Cat. That's great. It's working really well. Steve, we're on a pretty low speed connection here, so I might not be able to open those photos if that's what they are. We have, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Steve Henry. Okay, never mind. I don't need to see your stuff, buddy, if that's how that works. Okay. Let's see. King or Fox or Elka shocks? What do you lean towards? Um, my dog's being weird here. I don't know. Like every time I ride any one of those, they're amazing. The only King shocks I've ridden are on the Havoc, and they work fantastic, unbelievably good. I mean, I jumped that thing like 65 feet, and it should not be able to do that. It landed mint, just so perfect. But yeah, I mean, they all have a great product. They all have um, shocks that are good. They all have shocks that are not as good. Some of Fox's air, well, no, any air shock. I don't want to ride an air shock. I hate air shocks across the board. Haven't ridden one I like. But a Fox QS3, especially their like Kashima coated 2.5 inch. I mean, those things are awesome. I love QS3s because they're so easy to adjust and they make such a difference when you click from 1, 2, and 3. I love that. I've never had a bad experience with an Elka shock ever. Even their low end stuff is super impressive. I think that they make a quality product. Everything's hand built. So if it was me, simply because they're easier to get, I'd be picking a Fox or an Elka. Kings are cool too, but I just don't know that they're as easy to get for your side by side. So again, I've had great experiences with all three of them, but definitely a Fox or an Elka would be top of my list. New to ATVs, any weak points in an Arctic Cat Altera 550 17 model? Just bought one. Not that I know of. I mean, that's actually not a really new vehicle. The general basics of that vehicle have been around for a long time. So um, it's a proven vehicle. The 550 is not the most powerful motor in the world, definitely. So don't be prepared to get pulled off the back when you hit the throttle. That doesn't mean it's not a great vehicle. It's a good motor. It lasts a long time. They ride pretty good. They handle really good. They got lots of good capabilities. I think that the Altera is a good ATV. We've had a lot of trouble getting one. It's been really difficult for us with the Textron Arctic Cat changeover. Just a lot of things changed there. The media department's changed and all that. So we haven't been able to get our hands on one, but we're working on it, and we certainly hope to get one to test right away. I would love to test the 550 because I think it's probably the best value that they've got and most capable for the money. Have you taken a ride up to Algonquin Park on ATVs? You're not actually allowed to do that. The one trail that goes through the park is for snowmobiles only, and it's closed in the winter or summer, sorry, for ATVs. Have I done it? Yeah, I have. But it's not really worth the risk because it's just one trail. I mean, there's so many other great trails, but yeah, I've been up that way on ATVs and certainly on snowmobiles. That's one of my favorite trails in all of North America. Is the Hydro line through Algonquin Park to Whitney is just so good. So there you go. Andrew Cox, why do manufacturers put speed restrictions on their side by sides? Honestly, man, it's liability crap. That's all it boils down to. I don't understand it. Um, I guess I get it from a liability perspective, but when everybody else isn't doing it, you can't do it and expect people to be happy. I mean, you can't make a Wolverine X2 that does like 50 or whatever it is. It's just no way is that acceptable. Luckily, the aftermarket usually can help you out there, but I don't get it, and I think that it's a lot better to just not put them on there at all. You guys be coming back to Western Canada on another ride with Osta Cruiser, maybe? That'd be an AJ question because he's buddies with those guys and they're all about mud. So is he. So I think he does want to get back out there. They'll possibly even take our mud build and ride with them. I'm not 100% sure though. Thank you very much, Tracy Jacobs. I appreciate that. That's really nice. For what it's worth, Brian Fisher's a great guy, and we get along really well. Certainly does a lot of what he does is different than what we do. So, but I really appreciate that comment. Thank you. Derek, I have not ridden in the Black Hills of South Dakota. No, I would like to. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's pretty wild terrain. Um, Hard for us though during a season if I hate to say it because it sounds kind of stuck up, but if an area their tourism department doesn't want us to come and isn't going to help us get there, traveling all over North America without some backing from tourism departments isn't in our budget. Everybody likes to think that because you're on TV, it's just money floating from the sky. That is not the case at all. So we have to be very cautious about travel and where we go and make sure that where we're going is a place that A, we're wanted, and B, that they're willing to help us out because we're providing them a pretty good value and a lot of coverage. So that's worth something. And if they ever call us up and say, hey, we'd like to bring you out, I promise you we will go. Are you going to test drive the 2019 Polaris Slingshot when it comes out? I'd love to, man. I love the Slingshot. It's super cool. I don't know what's going to be different with the 019, or I haven't looked at it that much. I've been submerged in ATV side-by-side stuff recently, but I'd love to drive one. I mean, we had a Slingshot and we tested it. It was fun. We did not have it long enough, though. We only had it for 2 weeks. That was not long enough. Here's a good question. Chuck Piazza, how would you compare the RS1 to an Razor XP1K? Do you notice a ride and drive difference between them? They are very, very, very different, but they're very, very the same. The RS1 being so centralized, you're sitting in the middle. It's a very small chassis with wide arms, huge tires, excellent sight lines of the wheels. If it was me and I didn't have to take a passenger, I'd buy an RS1. It's also $3,700 US less than a Razor XP1K. So if you don't need that extra seat and that little bit of extra cargo space, save yourself $3,700 and buy the RS1. I personally feel that where we tested it is where we test a lot of vehicles. I've tested Razor XP1Ks there. I could ride the RS1 faster across the board than I could ever ride a Razor XP. I mean, just absolutely an awesome vehicle. Blew my mind. The test ride's coming up. I just previewed it. I'm super happy with how it turned out. But certainly, if it's on your radar and you're not 100% convinced you need a second seat, the RS1 is a fantastic value, but it's an even better vehicle. Even if it costs $3,700 more, I'd still say it's an awesome vehicle. What do you think ATV parks are less popular? Or why do you think ATV parks are less popular in Canada than in the States? Manitoba is slowly developing for ATV, but rest of Canada seems to be really slow, reluctant to open up areas. There's a good reason for that, Chad. The reason is because liability. So in the U.S., a lot of these areas are protected by the government. Certainly, Hatfield McCoy. If you're a private landowner and you agree to put a Hatfield McCoy trail on your property, you are protected from prosecution. You cannot be sued. Period. No landowner has ever been sued because of an incident on a Hatfield McCoy trail. It's a government thing. The government has said you cannot sue them, so you're protected. What that does is it makes private landowners who already have ATVers riding on their land illegally, it makes them say, hey, come put a trail network on our land. We want the protection. Please do it. That opens up a whole new area of trails. In Canada, it doesn't matter if you have a legitimate riding area. It doesn't matter if a person signs a waiver. I mean, the way things are in Canada in terms of liability is just ridiculous. You can sign a waiver and you can still sue a person. You know, you can go onto private property with posted signs and hurt yourself and sue the landowner, and you possibly can win. And that's wrong in every way. And that's why you don't see more trail riding areas opened up, because people are already concerned about liability when it's private. Imagine their concern when they open it up. I certainly hope this gets better. I hope the government gets on board and understands just how valuable ATVing can be, especially to small communities. But right now, that's the holdback, and it's really too bad, because a lot of, obviously Western Canada, a lot of Eastern areas in Canada, there's so many great rideable areas that could be opened up, and I think that they should be. So hopefully in the future we're going to see more of that. What would you recommend better, a Ranger or Defender? Pick whatever you want. They're both so equal. I tested them last year back to back, and I could not pick one that I liked more. I honestly couldn't. It seemed like every area the Ranger was better than the Defender was better than the Ranger in the other areas. So they're so evenly matched. The Defender's a little bit more refined. I think I might like the motor a little better in the Defender. I'm not sure. They're really even that way too. The Defender's got a lot of cool interior features and like folding armrests and little toolboxes that come out, things like that. But the Ranger just seemed to handle a little bit better. I don't know. It's such a hard call. If somebody was to say, here's both of them, pick one, I just close my eyes and go back and forth until I stopped on one. That's what I do. I know it sounds stupid, but it's true. You can't go wrong with either. They made a cab on the Slingshot. Oh, I got to check that out. They needed that. Any word on Textron's plans with changing the platform of the non-XX Wildcats? The old Arctic Cat Trail and Sport platform seems tired. I agree, it's tired. I'm pretty sure you're going to see more power in at least the Sport platform. Whether they're going to change the vehicle in some drastic way, I really don't know. I kind of don't think it's going to happen soon. It's probably on their radar, but I don't think it's going to be something that happens right away. Certainly, it's more power is needed in those platforms, and I think that they've now got a wealth of power plants that they didn't have before that would be perfect. So I think you're probably going to see that. Tracy, do you ever do rallies or sponsored events where fans can come ride with you all? We've done a bunch. We've done a lot of Trail Fest events at Hatfield McCoy, and we've done some other like jamboree type stuff and poker runs and things like that. And we just ride along with everybody else. It's not like we have a special, entourage with us. We just go out and ride. But it's not something that happens a lot, but definitely we do, and have a lot of fun. One of my favorite parts of this job, period, is meeting viewers and getting to know new people and making new friends. So I love doing that. Can-Am 850 or Polaris 850? Same question as the Defender versus the Ranger. I mean, man, whichever one you pick, you tick off the other group of people who own the other ones. And that's the funny thing about doing shootouts for me, is I always make enemies on the other side. If I pick a Can-Am, it's because Can-Am paid me more. If I pick a Polaris the very next day, it's because Polaris paid me more. Straight up, they all pay us. They all sponsor our show. Everybody does. It doesn't matter who I pick. Somebody that's paid me is losing, and nobody's paid me more to win a shootout. As I said earlier, I just want the best vehicle. I don't care who makes it. It doesn't matter to me whether it's Polaris, Yamaha, Arctic Cat, Honda, Dinley. I don't care who makes the very best ATV or side-by-side. I just want the very best. So between those two, it's a lot of personal preference. I think that the Polaris is a little bit more plush. If you're not a crazy aggressive rider, then the Polaris probably is a little bit better choice. Ergonomically, I'm a little bit more comfortable on a Polaris. Um, Can-Am is definitely aggressive. Their new electronic throttle, though, I have to say, changes the Can-Am a lot. In the past, Can-Am's ATVs were clutched really, really aggressive. I mean, it was hard to be smooth down low. They wanted to engage and then pull, like right as soon as you hit the throttle. The new electronic throttle, though, has 3 modes. And when you set it into the sort of the middle regular mode, it smooths out that engagement and you can ride it as smooth as you want to ride it. There's no jumpiness or anything. And I really like that. So for the first time ever, I can honestly say I like an electronic throttle, a drive by wire throttle, and that's on the new Can Am. So you couldn't go wrong with either. Um, Sit on them both, decide which one's most comfortable. How do you guys at Dirt Tracks like the 1000 XP? Planning on buying one soon? Actually, just talked to a guy on the phone right before I logged on here who was asking me about the 1000 XP, and I think it's a great vehicle. I do. You can't go wrong with one. I mean, the aftermarket is so huge. Any problems you might have with yours can be remedied and improved. They're durable from the beginning. As long as you're not hitting massive jumps and landing full throttle, you probably won't have a big issue. Or spinning like 32-inch mud tires, you're probably not going to have a problem with your front diff. Those problems tend to surface when you get more and more extreme. But yeah, I think it's a great vehicle. The new one's super cool too. They look pretty awesome. But I'm comfortable in an XP. I like driving them. The non-turbo version has got more than enough power. So you didn't. If you're going to buy one soon, go buy it. You'll love it. Do manufacturers ever contact or work with Dirt Tracks or Snow Tracks for our 2 cents? Yes, actually, that does happen more often than you might think. Now, I'm not saying that we influence what they build, um, but when they get reviews that they don't like, or if there's a section of a review that was negative, a lot of times they'll call us. Sometimes they call us and they're not happy, but they want to know why we said it. Sometimes they're just very curious to know how can they improve it. And there have been some improvements made to vehicles in the market right now that came directly from suggestions from us. Um, so yeah, some of them are more open to it than others, but certainly we get calls frequently to know why did we say what we did, what do we think needs to be changed, or how can we make that better. And you got to love that. You really have to respect a company that can do that. So or will do that, and we certainly respect that a lot. Have you ever ridden anywhere near Bemidji, Minnesota? Yeah, I have. Polaris has got or had a facility there, so I've definitely ridden there. Not sure exactly where in Bemidji, but it was in Bemidji somewhere. ATV3, ATV3. Seem to have lost lots of weight. Are you feeling okay? I'm feeling great. I just got tired of being chubby. um, yeah, thanks for noticing. I appreciate that. It's funny because more people notice on TV than people at home. But yeah, I kind of found a like for working out, and I bought a mountain bike and started mountain biking like crazy. And something I used to love to do before I broke my knees racing snowmobiles and thought I couldn't do anymore. But then I found out I could. So that's pretty much all it boils down to. My wife likes it too. Ryan Dion, you are more than welcome, my friend. That is what we were here for. You're welcome as well, Cameron. Interesting. Trevor AJ, Wildcat XX is a belt driven alternator. Your opinion on general trail riding in wet conditions? I'm sorry, man. I really wish I could answer that question better. I simply can't. My testing of the Wildcat XX has not been as long as I wanted to. What I will say is that the testing I did was aggressive, like really aggressive for 2 days of solid, full throttle, rock climbing, the worst possible abuse you can put that vehicle through. And we didn't have any problems with it. In terms of the alternator, we were not submerging it, so I can't comment. I'm really sorry, but time will tell. And when we get one here to test, finally, I promise you I will drive it underwater and I will let you know. My preferred riding gear when riding, helmets, boots, etc. We're wearing LS2 helmets right now, and honestly, I have a massive head. Like in an FXR helmet, I wear a quad extra large. Their helmets fit super small, so my head's not really ridiculously that big. But the LS2 helmet fits my head so perfect. I just absolutely love it. Fits great. Boots, I actually just wear a pair of hiking boots when I ride, even ATVs. If I was to ride sport bikes, I wear motocross boots and motocross gear. But when I ride ATVs, I wear a pair of work pants, usually wear a jersey just because I don't want to ruin my t shirts. and a pair of work boots, and that's pretty much it. I believe that when you ride an ATV, you should have your legs covered at minimum. You shouldn't be riding in shorts, and I think you should wear proper footwear. Same as riding a motorcycle, you should have your ankles covered. That's just something I believe in, so I wear that gear when I ride. When I ride a side by side, I just wear shoes. Um, I do once in a while if it's ridiculously hot out wear shorts when I ride a side by side, but even in a side by side, I believe you should wear pants. Warbros HD. I have not tested the Hammerhead. Never tried one. Frank May, interesting. Any plan on doing an off-road vehicle of the year contest similar to the sled of the year award? By the way, the Lester family has my dream job. I have my dream job. um, it's a hard one, honestly, and the reason it's hard is because it's such a huge industry, and there's so many subcategories. I mean, snowmobiling has a ton of subcategories, but ATVing has so many more. Um, we've talked about it many times. The other issue with the ATV industry is that it's not on the same kind of schedule as the snowmobile industry is. The snowmobile industry is on a single, what do you call it? Like a season. It's seasonal. It's winter. That's it. New product at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, you know what's coming next. Um, so it's pretty cut and dried. ATVs are being released all year, and um, it's really hard to be able to nail it down and say, okay, these are the vehicles that compete in this time frame. It's next to impossible. So it's something I think we'd like to do, but I don't know if we can. Thanks, Cameron. Awesome, buddy. Appreciate that so much. Thanks for joining us, and definitely hope to see you back on the next one, man. You're awesome, and we really appreciate you as a viewer and for joining in on this. This has been great. This is my first live stream ever. Watching Destination Polaris right now. Awesome. It's a pretty cool show. I like that show too. Let's see here. Just put 100 miles on a new Wildcat trail. Got it stuck off camber and blew the toe in and out. Now hard to steer even after correcting towing. Any idea if it's the steering box or inner ball joint? Man, when you bend stuff like that, it could be anything. I mean, it could literally be anything. It could be an arm that you don't know is bent, or an arm mount that's bent, or just a ball joint that's actually bent itself, and it looks like the arms are the right length, or the steering rods are the right length, but the ball itself is bent. It's really hard to tell without taking a front end apart and really getting in there and looking at it. I'm sorry that happened to you. It does happen, especially with power steering vehicles, especially when they're being ridden in super extreme conditions. But I mean, it happens. Check it out though. Take it to somebody who knows maybe more than you or I do, and have it looked at. But it could be so many things. Charlie Lighton, thanks for joining us, buddy. Appreciate it. Daniel Emerald, yes, we've talked quite a bit about the XX. Lots of good stuff. I work a team. Actually, no, I can't say it. I guess it's a big secret. Is it Jack Wait? Jack Walt, sorry. David Anthony, 2 strokes for 4. Awesome. Wouldn't like an E-Tech, 800 E-Tech and a side-by-side be awesome? Wouldn't that be cool? I think it'd be amazing. I know that E-Tech 2 could probably, I mean, it's clean. It's cleaner than your average 4-stroke. So if they would just do emissions in a way that makes sense, you could do it, and it would be amazing. I didn't get to ride it, but I did see a Wildcat with a 2-stroke in it a couple years ago, and it looked so awesome. So one day, maybe. The first DS 450 was supposed to be an E-Tech 2-stroke before they released the DS 450. But they figured the market wouldn't accept it, so they put a 454 stroke in it. I think it would have been amazing. No problem, Bandit. You're my pleasure, man. Why is my hairline receding? It's because there's so much going on up there. It just pushes the hair out. It's a Lester thing. Just have a look at any of us. It's definitely genetics. I don't know. Pretty good with no hair though. It's so much easier when I wake up in the morning. I don't have to do anything. I just go. Go-to side by side for tighter North American trails. Seems like 72 would be a boat and heavily wooded trails. Oh yeah, it's a boat. 72 doesn't fit. I mean, we've had trouble trying to drive the X3 and when AJ was testing the XP 1000 Turbo S, he had trouble getting it into tight places. It just is what it is. 60 to 64 inches. 64 inches is the max, in my opinion, for a North American trail, but 60 is sort of the best middle ground. Um, Razor S is a great model for riding around normal trails around here. The RS1, if you don't have to have the second person, is awesome. on these types of trails. I mean, just you can just roost. So that's something to think about. When will Polaris make another 800 Ranger? They're probably not going to make another 800 now that they've got 850s and whatnot. It depends when they develop a new motor. There's always these specific parameters that they're after. They're looking for a specific torques, curve or horsepower limit or horsepower possibilities or certain characteristics of a motor. And lots of times people think they build the motor to the size. Lots of times though, the size is just a byproduct of the characteristics they want out of a motor. So an 850 had better characteristics or had more of the characteristics that they wanted versus the 800. So that's why they went that way. But you never know if something changes and they have some kind of crazy new technology comes out or they find a way to make an 800 give them the better characteristics, you might see it. Ever ride trails on dirt bikes? Yes, I do. I have a Beta 300 RR, and I ride it as much as I possibly can, which isn't nearly as much as I would like to. Should give a four-wheeler away. Yeah, call your or send a message to your favorite manufacturer and tell them that they should work with Dirt Trax to do a giveaway of a vehicle because we would love to do that. We love giving stuff away, but certainly that's something that we can only do in conjunction with a manufacturer who wants to do it. Should Suzuki make a V-twin? Yeah, Suzuki should do a lot of things. V-twin, bigger power would be very smart for them. Um, revamp chassis, new chassis. They need to do a lot of things. The new King Quad is good, but it's not going to be blowing anybody's doors off right now. Brooks Turen. I can't suggest anything for that one. I'm sorry. The next Japanese manufacturer to make a twin would get a huge leg up on the competition. Yeah, I mean, Yamaha made a twin, the 850. It's a good motor. It has a lot of potential, but they are just not squeezing the potential out of it right now. What's it, 60 horsepower or something? It only does like 50 miles an hour or 45 miles an hour. They really need to uncork that thing and just give us what we all want, which is big power. I don't know if they're going to. I hope they do. Thoughts on buying used vehicles? I think if you buy right, I love buying used vehicles, man. I don't have to buy side by sides, ATVs, or snowmobiles because of what we do here. But when it's dirt bikes and street bikes and my kids' ATVs and stuff like that, I buy all those and I buy them used all the time. I refuse to buy a brand new vehicle. There's no point in it when I mean, go on your Craigslist or Kijiji or whatever it is that you have in your area and just look at how few miles people put on their vehicles before they sell them. I mean, the Ducati I just bought was a 2013 and had 4,000 kilometers on it. Like, why even buy that vehicle if you're not going to ride it? So save your money, find somebody who's ditching a used one that has no miles and buy that. Or if you're worried about a warranty, buy new. That's the reason to buy a new one is if you want the warranty, or if you're the kind of guy who has to have the latest and greatest for sure. And there's a lot of people out there who can't live without the best of the best, the newest of the coolest, and I fully respect that, man. Spend that dough, but if you're on a budget, look at used. We used to have a Ranger 700. It was really reliable. A few years ago, we sold it and went ahead and bought a new 900 Crew, and we love it. That was a good upgrade. Absolutely, man. The 900 Crew is an awesome vehicle. Really is. Super capable, super comfortable. I've nothing bad to say about a 900 Crew. I think you're getting a Scrambler 1000. Is it a good machine? Yeah, it's sick. The Scrambler was ridiculous. I mean, talk about overpowered. I love that one. William Leslie, we've actually talked about this a couple times here. There is no official word on Honda Sport side by side. The Talon, it's all just hearsay at this point. I would love it to be true, and it very well might be a concept vehicle. I was in a warehouse at Honda in California a couple years ago, and they had all these vehicles that no one has ever heard of. They were completely like rideable, and no one had ever heard of them before, and they were just so bizarre. All kinds of crazy ideas that they built, and they looked finished. That could be just one of those. Who knows? They actually had a 6x6 ATV in there that looked a lot like the Can-Am, but it was on a shelf way up high, and it had never been released to the the public. No one had ever seen it outside of Honda, period, and kind of got your eyebrows up. David Anthony, you're absolutely welcome, my friend. What I like about the Havoc X, I like the motor. Number one, it's awesome, sounds great, has tons of power, pulls hard, super smooth. I like the suspension. Number two, it's fantastic. It rides amazing on the trail. I mean, you can hit 65-foot jumps with it. There's nothing bad to say about the suspension. Handling is really good. The only downside about it is the cockpit. It's a little weird. The seating position is weird. Your knees are too close to the dash. I'm 6'1", so my knees are often too close to the dash. If you're smaller, it might not be an issue, but you do get used to it. It's just not ideal, and I definitely think they need to step that up and do some ergonomic changes to that vehicle if they really want it to be as competitive as, say, a General. That's basically all it needs. I really like the show. I'm from the town of Alta in Norway, where you started out from on the trip to Finland. First ride on my new Switchback this winter was on the trail. You started out from Alta. Awesome, man. That was a great trip. I had tons of fun. I can't believe how beautiful your area is. Um, Only thing I'll say is maybe like they groom the trails once in a while more often. That's it. But I had so much fun there. People are so friendly. Um, what I liked about being in Norway is just how much people do outdoor recreation. I mean, everywhere we went, people were outside. They were always outside. We were on a lake riding snowmobiles, and there was hundreds of people cross country skiing and out walking and walking their dogs on the lake. It was just like, that's why everybody there's so fit, I guess. Derek, I can't say your last name, man. I'm sorry. Hitchens. Anyway, the difference with buying a new ATV and an ATV with, say, 50 miles on it is a huge price difference. I don't know why you buy a brand new ATV or UTV when you could buy one for a lot cheaper. Again, it's all about what you want. I mean, some people really, really care about knowing that vehicle hasn't had 50 hard miles on it, or somebody's, passing on a problem that they only noticed within the first 50 miles. And that does happen. I bought a bunch of vehicles like that used that they were just a problem that the owner didn't want to have anymore. It became my problem. Another big one is people want a warranty, and I totally respect that people want a warranty. I like warranties. I buy new trucks because I want a warranty. I can't afford to fix a truck all the time, but if you're like me and I can't afford to buy new motorcycles, so I buy used ones. I just be real picky about it and search and search and search, and don't just buy the first one I find. And I usually get a pretty decent deal. But I agree, you can save a lot of money buying used, but there's lots of people out there who will only own new, and thank God for them because they kind of keep me in business in a roundabout kind of way. You're absolutely welcome, Brandon T. Thanks for joining us. And I was, yeah, eating dirt as a kid. It's kind of like being a kid when you're older, when you're riding a side by side, mouthfuls of dirt. Joe Winters, are you going to do a loan test on the Havoc X? We did a test on the Havoc X. I'm not sure if it's up on YouTube right now, or I think it might be. But we definitely did a full test on the Havoc X, and it's if it hasn't come up yet, it will be very shortly. So just check our YouTube channel. If it's not there, stay tuned because it's on its way with great reviews. Wicked West Off Road. Okay, so this is going to be the last question I'm going to answer. It's completely off topic, but I actually have to get going. Last question: Ford, GM, or Dodge, gas or diesel? I'm a GM guy. I have a Chevy 1500. It's a 6.2 gas. Um, would I own a diesel? Our work truck is a Chevy 3500 single rear axle crew cab diesel, and I really, really like it. I don't want to deal with DEF fluid. I hate that. So I would buy a gas for sure. I don't tow a lot personally, but I'm loving my Chevy. I was a Dodge guy forever, as long as I can remember, and I have nothing bad to say about my Chevy. So I'm kind of a convert right now. There you go. Ishins. Okay, there you go. Right on. Well, I'm glad I got it close for you, Derek. Anyway, I got to go, guys. It's been great. It's been great hanging out with you guys and answering your questions. This is something AJ and I are going to keep doing as often as we can. And I think what we'll try and do from now on is maybe have a general topic that we're gonna start with. So in this case, it was the Wildcat XX. Um, but certainly, we're happy to answer any questions you guys have. So at this point, we're done for today. But save your questions up. Get ready for the next one that probably won't be a whole lot longer away. We're going to, as I said, try and do this as often as possible. So thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for watching Dirt Tracks, being part of Dirt Tracks Nation. We appreciate every one of you guys. We really do, and girls. We appreciate your comments, your criticisms when they're respectful. We appreciate everything you guys do. Certainly watching the show, and we're going to keep working as hard as we possibly can for you guys to bring you the best content and the most honest, real opinions that are backed up with real life experiences. And that's what we do here at Dirt Tracks, and we're going to keep doing it. So again, thank you so much, and hope everybody has a great week, safe week. Keep it rubber side down, and see you next time.